Let me tell you something about real estate that's going to change your wealth forever if you let it sink in. I'm going to read you this stat that's going to change your perspective. The richest real estate investors in the world are 60% commercial property owners, 30% residential investors, 10% land developers, and 0% single family home buyers who just live in them. So if you want to learn how to build a portfolio like the top 1%, we need to focus on what those three categories have in common. They don't buy property to live in them. They buy properties to be paid to own them. Think about it. Commercial property owners, they're getting paid by businesses. Residential property owners, they're getting paid by multiple tenants. And land developers profit from appreciation and development. So it's clear, if you're not getting paid for your real estate, it's actually costing you money, which makes it a liability. This is the part that most people miss. So how can you invest like the top 1%? You need to follow the 70-20-10 rule. This is a rule that I created so that any investor, no matter what their income, no matter what experience they have, can invest like the top investors in the world if they follow this correctly. Because the truth is, it's not about how much property you can afford, it's about how you structure the investments that you're currently making. I'm not just some real estate guru selling courses. I've done this to build a multi-million-dollar real estate portfolio, and I know that you can do the same thing because I promise you I was not in this position 5 years ago. Okay, the 70%, this is gonna go towards your core, your bread and butter. For me specifically, that's long-term rentals, usually 2 to 4 units, seller financing, owned, free and clear. Now guys, the reason that I'm making this 70% is when this is your expertise, when you have a lot of faith in this metric, which can be different for every single investor, there's a lot more leverage that you can apply there. If you have the experience there, if you have the connections there, it's gonna make it a lot easier to build income through this metric. So for me, seller financing, small multifamily, owned, free and clear is my bread and butter. My last acquisitions have been in that, and I am so confident that those are gonna pay me every single month, and it helps me sleep at night. I have buddies that are really good at Airbnb. That could be their 70%. I have buddies that are really good at RV parks, mobile home parks. That's their 70%. Your niche does not have to be someone else's niche. It has to align with what you enjoy doing and what aligns with your personality. So let me give you a real life example of this. Last year, I bought an acquisition that's in my 70%. This is a 3-unit seller finance long-term hold. My monthly payment on that is $2,250, and my monthly rents are now around $4,400, $4,500. Now, that cash flow that I'm confident withdrawing is like $1,500 every single month. That helps me sleep at night. It fits my 70% bucket. I'm super happy with that acquisition. Now let's contrast that to if someone put what I put, which is 135 grand all in, that's down payment, rehab, etc., into a property that they bought to live in. Now, that's more liability, right? Because they're still gonna put money into that. They have to pay for fence. They gotta pay for the furnace to get fixed up when it happens. There's still all these expenses, and that is an expensive liability. I'm not telling you to not buy a house for yourself. I'm showing you to contrast these two. One you live in and it loses money every single month. I promise you it is. And on the other side, I bought an asset that pays me $1,500 a month. That's not a liability, that's an asset. So in order to identify what your 70% is, you need to dive deep into the education space. This does not mean that you're paying for tons of courses. You can start with podcasts, books, figure out what resonates with you. Now, everyone is going to be different, and that's okay. Everyone has different risk tolerances. I don't like Airbnb because the regulations, saturation, etc. I'm boring. I like the long-term rentals that I sit aside and don't think about. Everyone has their own path. Figure out what that is for you and run with it. So now for the 20% bucket, this is my growth and upside bucket. For me, it looks like this. Bigger deals that I'm maybe partnering with people on, let's say a 12, 16 unit complex where I can't put $600,000 down. I can then partner with someone, and there's greater risk because it's now in the commercial financing bucket, right? Which is usually shorter terms than residential on a 30-year balloon. That's one side. Another side is I bought into a restaurant that has some real estate attached, right? So that is in my growth and upside bucket. I don't want to put all my money there because it's riskier. Higher upside, but also higher risk. That's my 20% bucket. So this 20% bucket, I don't feel comfortable throwing my capital out there as just a single partner because I don't know this world as much as some of my partners do. I don't know the restaurant space. I don't know the big multifamily space. So that's why I lean on these partners to also offset my risk. In the last 10% bucket, probably the most exciting one, but one that you need to take serious that it's just 10%. And this one is the experimental / education bucket. Listen, I've invested 100,000 plus into my own education. And that does not include the multiple six figures in losses that I've taken that are also educational. But I have learned throughout the years to really get this down to a 10%. If you want to spend money on a mastermind, investing back in yourself, that's not a guaranteed return, but I think it is an extremely important part of your endeavors in your journey, right? The other side of that is the high risk investments that can have a huge multiple. I'm talking 10, 100x. That can be, for me, what I like is investing into businesses that are vertically integrated into the real estate space. I've always thought about this. I haven't implemented it to a high degree, but investing into a property management company, investing into a title company, building a partnership with that. Like, there's so many different angles that make sense for you. Some people like crypto. I'm not as involved in crypto. Find out what your 10% is that's high risk, high speculative, and keep to that. All right, going back to that 70% and finding what makes most sense for you in the 70%. For me, like I said, it's true seller financing, boring, set it aside and let it grow. That's where I've gained the majority of my wealth and even active income right now. So if you're interested in that part, the true seller financing, small multifamily, I have a link below in the description that teaches you how to find, negotiate, and close seller financing deals so that you can do the same thing for yourself as well. If not, just subscribe and I'll love to help you out on your journey.